Okay, so hope you enjoyed your lunch. Thank you for bringing that in today again. And so just to recap, this morning we converted the stall into an objection, and then we gave you the words, or a few awarenesses about objections, but we gave you the words to use to start handling an objection. And you role-played that a few times, yes? Yes. So this dialogue is extremely powerful. Don't underestimate this. In fact, I would caution people from using it outside of real estate. Like, is there any single people here? Anybody at all? Everyone's married? You're single? You're going to be so good at this dialogue here that I don't know if it's fair for you to be in the dating line, for example, because I don't think any woman would turn you down when you say, see, if they give you an objection like, well, you're too skinny for me. Yeah. I can appreciate how you feel. Just so I understand, is it just the fact that I'm skinny and that's it? Yeah, that's it. Okay, so if I could show you that factor is not, and you start, and she's like, oh, okay, and then you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's not really meant for that. You know, let me show you something to help you to decide, and you show your muscles all of a sudden. Hey, I'm not so skinny after all. And so that makes all the difference. So it's not really meant for that, but it is similar with anything in life. You're going to get objections for dating or listing a house or something that your wife or kids say or whatever, and you can use some of this, but just don't take advantage of people, okay? Because it is really amazing how these steps work out for you, okay? And yeah, it was meant to be a little funny, you know, like, I've always said that, you know, you can't use it in your social life as much. So give me an ooh for this. Ooh. And now we're going to dig right into objections. So the rest of the day, there isn't a lot on the PowerPoint. It's just going to bring up pretty well what's in your book. And where it says notes, that's where you take down some of the pointers I give you verbally. Nothing else is going to come up on the screen hardly at all. It's just, if you see me push the button, you'll see that it comes up like that. Same as your book, right? You see that? Yes. Okay. So, remember where we're at? We're at step 6, and we said, do you have any questions? And they said, we just want to wait to list. Now, you notice I got slash reposition. So with this objection, there's 2 different ways to look at it. I'll explain in a second. And there's 3 different ways to handle it. The first one where it says possible costs of waiting. If you want to make a note where I said, that was brought up in lesson 2. So make a note of that. Okay? And that's where you put it in your notes. Just put that's so you have a reference. Okay? And which lesson was it again? 2, yeah. Possible cost of waiting. And possible cost of waiting is on page E6. So I think we'll quickly do a role play here. What I'd like you to do is take a look at page E6. And really for the role play purposes, only the person that's playing the part of the realtor needs to have that out. The person that's playing the part of the seller doesn't need to have it. Okay? All right? And just to remind you how to role play it, now we get to do the dialogue with an actual objection handler. So whoever's role playing as the seller right now, close your book. Do that right now. Make sure it's closed. I got to see it. Make sure it's closed. You got it closed? He's got it closed, yes. I'm still waiting for these 2 people over here. Somebody has to close it. Closed. You got yours closed? Okay, and the ladies here, one of you has to close it. Can one of you close your book so I can carry on, please? You got it? Okay. So, whoever is the realtor has the cost of waiting in front of him right now, right? Yes. Yes? And so what I'd like you to do is maybe just fold your book so that it only shows that. Because you're going to hand it over to them. You're going to hand them your... Normally, I would ask you to tear it out of your book. But you're going to hand it over to them. You're going to hand your whole book over to them, unless you want to tear it out. It's okay if you tear it out, because that's what it's meant for. All right? But you're not handing it over right now. I said you're going to, so do not hand it over right now. Can everybody take it back, please? I was just letting you know that you're going to hand it over. Because you're going to hand it over because you're following these steps back here, right? Yeah. Okay, but I want to remind you of how you go over the costs of waiting. So there's 10 on the list, yes? And I think I have it here as well. There it is. So there's 10 items on the possible costs of waiting. And just because of our time factor, and anybody that's in the class here or watching on the recording, this was back in lesson 2. Like I said, you put it into your notes so you can refer back to that, or you can listen to the audio tracks. And we went through everything. Just to refresh your memory, we said that, you know, interest rates might go up. So 2 things could affect them on that. One is if they're buying and they waited till next year, they may be paying more for their monthly payment. Second of all, it can knock some of the buyers out of their price range for what they want for their house, because now those people don't qualify for this amount. When interest rates go up, they qualify for less. Does that make sense? Yes. So it can affect them. And so you took the time to explain that, or we role-played that. Then we said when interest rates go up, typically house values, what? Our houses might be worth less. Now we just told you that the forecast from one of the banks says that within the next 12 to 18 months, all properties are going to drop up to 20% in this part of the country. So this really applies, doesn't it? Right? Yes. And if people have to sell, they have to know this stuff. Would you agree?
Yes.
You know, people that don't have to sell, they'll just say, well, I'll just wait. That's fine. Wait 5 years, wait 3 years, whatever. But you think there's going to be any sales in the next 2 months in this area?
Yes.
Yeah. And do you guys want to be one of the realtors that's on that sale?
Yes.
Yeah. So then you want to do this stuff. Remember, you want to be in this category here.
Yes.
So these people are constantly what? Closing. And they recognize objections and concerns. So we're going to do the first 2. Now, their house might be worth less. So remember, when you're doing this, you've already done step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You're on step 6. So step 4 was pricing. If it's $400,000, Mr. Seller, and you wait till next June, probably be down. If 20% drop in 18 months, then in 9 months it's 10%. Right? Yep. So then 10% of 400,000 is how much?
40,000.
Yeah, and so then you can say to them, write that in. So you're going to get the other person to write it in. You're going to have to crunch some numbers together to figure out what their payment might be and what it might be if they wait and it's another 1% higher. And then times it by 60 months or a 5-year term. And then put in how much extra it'll be for them to buy. And then figure out how much their house will be worth if they lose 10% in 9 months. And then don't worry about the rest. But just to refresh your memory, if somebody's building a new house and they're waiting to sign a contract till next year, it'll be cost more. Would you agree? We talked about that. Law of supply and demand and lost in the shuffle. That's when somebody says, well, we want to wait till after Christmas because, you know, there'll be more people put their home on in the spring. Well, if they wait till the spring, the first 2 apply. Plus, when there's more inventory, property's going to get lost in the shuffle. If there's less to choose from, they might get more money. Or they might get a quicker sale at least. Would you agree? Yes. What time of the year is there a lot less inventory? Winter. December.
December.
Is where the least inventory is December. Hence, the top producers that are working. Now, let me ask you this though. I'm going to bring this up later as well. If you're trying to convince somebody to list their property in 2 weeks, let's say, December 7th, but you're going to be gone for the whole month of December, does it make sense to still list it or to tell them to wait? Why? You're not here.
Inventory is low.
Okay, let's say next year when inventory is good. Let's say any month. Let's say when everything's really good. Would you ever tell people to wait till you come back?
No.
Okay, well, I'm glad you guys said that because a lot of realtors will. I actually had a few I was coaching. They said, oh, I'm going to wait till January. I said, well, they might use somebody else, so don't do that. Take the listing. In fact, remember, and you guys are, and I'm really, really appreciative of how you responded because you don't have a job. You have a what? Business. And it needs to be open 24/7, 365 days a year.
Yes.
But you only work 40 hours a week or less. But your business is always open. Like when you're not working, do you turn off your website?
No.
You know, if you're on holidays, do you tell everybody they can't bring offers on your listings? Or do you say, I'm not going until all my listings sell? Of course not. You still have a life, right? So you have to have a business. Anyways, the other ones are in lesson 2. You can all read it or go back to that and look at it. But for role play purposes, we'll pause the recording. We can do that.